So I don't really think about exactly what I'm going to say. I kind of have a general idea and then I just say it. So I mean, none of it's very deep or good or. But I don't know. I like it being off the cuff. I like it being real. Um, that's how I come to deeper understanding. That's how I know myself better. So that's how I know my motivations. People with ADHD, they have to speak about their emotions a lot because it makes them real. They can't just sit there and process them up there, you know? They just can't think them. They have to talk them. And they usually have to repeat them over and over, so I do. It's just how I process through my emotions. But I was thinking about our motivations in life, you know? What exactly are people motivated for, you know? I think are people motivated to succeed in everything they do? Um, I mean, unless you hit the jackpot, I feel like you'll be disappointed most of the time because life's not always full of successes, right? So that's not always. I don't know. That's not my mind. That's not the best motivation for life. Just to succeed, because guess what? Failure is a huge part of life. You know, I feel like failure all the time. So, do people want to succeed until they die? Like, what's the end result there? Leaving a legacy for other people to see your success? Like, is that a form of pride, you know? Like, are you so proud of yourself or you want to be so proud of your successes that when you leave this life, people will be talking about you after? Are you like one of the pharaohs of Egypt, you know? Or are you like trying to bury yourself with your achievements to make a Wikipedia page for yourself so that people can think about you a lot more? Is that to make you feel less lonely or to make death feel easier to grasp? Is that what our society is shoving down our throats? That everybody can succeed, that everybody can do anything that they want, you know? It's not true. We're still limited, you know? You can have belief and imagination beyond anybody else in this world and still not be able to do anything with it. No matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you believe, there will be other people that keep you down, that don't want you to succeed. Um, so I don't know. I don't think that's a good motivator for me, looking at my motivations. I mean, do I want to succeed for my kids? Yes, but it's not really what life's really about. I don't want to necessarily teach my kids that success is the only thing that matters because it's not. Because more than likely, like the majority of the rest of the world, they're going to be met with failure. And I don't want to teach my kids to be failures, but I think I want to teach my kids how to cope and manage failure or feeling failure. Because I felt that all of my life. I've always felt like I'm failing, 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 and it builds on each other. So I think what my goal is through this depression, through my sad phases, through my loneliness, I want to teach my children that the way you deal with these situations is more important, way more important than them actually happening to you. Because you really don't have a full control over that. I don't. Like, I don't have full control over my brain. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. It's like I was born with a mental disability, and no matter how much you throw at it, it's still going to be there. Because guess what? It just doesn't go away, right? I'm just not going to grow out of it. So, with my mental, like, disability, you know, with this depression and things that are not in the normal spectrum, I want to teach my children how to cope with those properly, you know. And I'm not sitting here condemning like alcohol, you know. I know that there's an addiction and it can be bad and it can shorten your life, you know. But so many people use it as a form of coping. So I want to validate that as a form of coping. In fact, as a nurse, that's one of the check mark boxes of ways to cope. And in some instances, they use alcohol to reduce anxiety. So I mean, it's a form of medication like anything else. It's just the abuse of it, right? The overuse of any medication, opioids to drugs to exercising to terrible relationships, that kind of stuff. So I think my biggest contribution is the life I live for my kids, not defined necessarily by my successes, my outward successes, but I think for me it's more important to define my life by my inward successes. Um, and I feel like my definition of those successes are how I cope with my failures, or coping that I'm feeling like a failure all the time. So I just I feel like most of us are or feel this way in the world, and I feel like we don't have resources, real resources that are screaming out to help. There's a lot of resources that are screaming the other direction, you know, magnifying your failure and not really giving anything in particular that actually helps it. I mean, that's how marketing is, you know, all the money for products and product placement goes into marketing, you know. That's where all the money goes because people are buying those products. So they're putting more money into those kinds of things than, you know, mental health and coping with failure, coping with, you know, disease. And I'm not talking about just like getting a cough, you know, but, you know, the origin of disease is, you know, like a dis-ease, right? Like your body can get this so many different ways, you know, mentally, physically, emotionally. So all of those are diseases. So people that say that alcoholism is not a disease, it is. It's a disease of your body, like it is. And you can acquire it. It's like you can choose to go into a place where everybody's sick and get sick, you know? It's the same kind of thing. You put yourself in these positions. So anyway, so one of my goals is to do this blog to help myself become a better person for them and for me. The more that I am able to handle and deal with failure in my life, the better off my children will be. Because they'll follow my example, my example, and depends on what kind of example I lead is what I can kind of expect my children to follow as well. So if I don't want them to be in pain, I need to learn how to cope with pain. Not because they'll never have it, but because I want them to learn that when it comes, that they're equipped for it. So, now I need to think about what that means. What kind of equipment do I have to cope with pain? I guess this last 2 years I've used alcohol, I've used eating, I've used overworking myself to cope with pain. I've used sleeping, inactivity, excuses, right? We all have excuses. And those can be good. I'm not saying excuses are bad. People that tell you that excuses are bad, they are a way of coping. I'm sorry. You're wrong. It's okay to have excuses in your life. It is okay. It's a way that you're learning how to cope with life. There's a reason why they're there. Use them. Use them for good, actually. Make yourself better for them. If you're gonna use an excuse, make your life better for it. So,